Welcome to Gate City Insider. I'm Rosemary Plyben. The Battleground Parks District boasts more than 400 acres of land, 13 trails and greenways. It's in the heart of Greensboro, and it's really a place where history meets nature. Now, maybe you're not familiar with the Battleground Parks District, but you probably actually are, whether you know it or not, because it actually encompasses a lot of things. Country Park, Guilford Courthouse National Military Park, the Greensboro Science Center, JC Park, Spencer Love Tennis Center, Lewis Recreation Center, and Forest Lawn Cemetery. That is a big chunk of land with a lot of partners, and it's all coming together starting now to become this Battleground Parks District, really a premier spot and attraction for the city of Greensboro. Nash McRae is Director of Greensboro Parks and Recreation. We are so glad to have you with us, as always.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much. Okay, so this is just a ginormous project, really. Can you kind of take us back to the beginning and how you got all these partners together and kind of created this vision and plan?
Yeah, so the Battleground Parks District is actually, like you said, it's all these different entities, but it really got started with just a conversation. As most ideas, it's just a conversation about how we can better connect all of these different assets and destinations so that way people can, have a place to visit. We can create a destination right here in Greensboro. All these different facilities are already here, and it took the vision and the leadership of the leaders of each of those entities. So with the city of Greensboro, with the Science Center, with the Guilford Battleground Courthouse, the military park, with the county, bringing all of those leaders together to talk about how we can better create a destination where our community can thrive, where we can capitalize on those that visit our community. What's really interesting is with all of these different amenities, you had people that came to one but didn't realize you had something right next door to do.
Right there.
Exactly. And so we were thinking about ways that we can better promote all of these different places, how we can better improve the connectivity, and even how we can collectively just kind of maintain it in a better way. So that's basically the birth of what we know as Battleground Parks District.
Okay, so the idea is to connect these places, to promote them together, to maintain them together. So created this plan, and what does that kind of look like in practice now? Yeah,
so what we did is, as you said, we created a plan. So we brought stakeholders that represented each of these different agencies. We had conversations with the community, those that visit. We went out, on a couple of days and just, asked for people's opinions, get feedback, and develop this plan with all these different strategies of how to really make this plan come to life. And so now we're at the point where we are implementing that first phase, which is super exciting, and to see that, right? So we've been working on this for, over 10 years.
Wow.
And so for me, having been with the city for so long and actually seeing it come from paper to, a reality is really exciting. But all that really, like I said, it started from a conversation to having those conversations and getting that feedback from others that use each of these amenities to see how we can make them better, and then actually putting a plan into place. Yeah.
And now it's go time.
And now it's go.
Okay, so this plan, I read through it this morning, 78 pages.
Yes.
Well, I should say I skimmed through it. Probably didn't read every word. 78 pages. So where does it start? We know it encompasses the Science Center and all these other things, and there's been a lot going on there. But you said it's kind of just starting now, and we know just in the past few weeks, the road around Country Park has closed to traffic. And
that's right.
Lots of walkers, bikers, joggers are rejoicing into that news.
Yeah, so you think about, the Science Center, the expansion that they're doing and have been doing over the years, which is amazing to see, having that asset right here in Greensboro, where it's a top 5, I think now, of tourist destinations in the entire state of North Carolina in terms of visitorship and how they've expanded. They've included new exhibits.
New animals,
new animals
we're seeing right now. We love them.
All these different elements that they've been able to, get support not only from elected officials here in Greensboro, from the community, from the Science Center board, all of their donors and partners that they work with. It's really amazing to see the evolution that's happening there. But also, with our Rotary Carousel, which is that crown jewel of the entire Battleground Parks District, which was made possible by the Rotary of Greensboro. And that opening last year, even during a pandemic, and how popular and amazing that has been and so unique, you know, having gone through that process. And now we're at the point for, you know, during the other part of phase one, where, like you said, we're closing that road at Country Park to help make sure that we're bringing the nature back. Because the BPD really symbolizes history and science and nature and recreation all in one destination. And so now we're focusing on those elements where we could reinvest back into Country Park, which is our oldest park in Greensboro. And we're excited about that. So what you'll see in that first phase is the hillside in between the lakes and the ponds over at Country Park and the carousel. We're actually making 2 connections. One is a skywalk that would actually traverse through the trees. That'll bring you from the top where the carousel is down to the lakefront.
Cool.
To a nice promenade where we could have food trucks. We can do event spaces because, again, you're taking the vehicles off the road.
Right.
And then the second way that you can actually access that is through a zip line, which is one of my favorite features. It's really cool. But you'll be able to zip line over the lake. Which that would be our first major zip line. Yes, from the carousel on over and back again. Because
you can zip line both ways?
You can come back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's going to be really, really cool. And what many people don't realize is those ponds, you know, historically, because Country Park has been around since 1934. And so if you look back at a lot of the photographs and the history, there actually used to be that there, and people would swim in the lake, and there was a bathhouse there. So we're actually bringing a lot of those elements that were original to that park. We're bringing it back for the community to enjoy. Okay,
so those 2 things, I know people are already, those are exciting 2 things right there. When will we see this? When might they be finished?
Yeah, so this is probably going to take about a year and a half of construction. We're hoping to break ground on that in the next month and a half.
Okay.
So we can take advantage of this nice warm weather. But as you mentioned, you know, one of the things that we did have to do is to close the road to vehicle traffic, not only because of the construction that's going to take place, but then also because Country Park is very well loved. That's our most visited park. We get over 1 million visits a year. That does not include the over 500,000 that the Science Center sees every year. But we get over 1 million visits, and so that's a lot of foot traffic that's happening. We want people to stay safe. And so part of that is also relocating the dog park, which is extremely popular. And so we're actually going to move that to a more accessible location and more prominent on the edge of the park so people can access it. We're going to add new parking, which is, you know, in high demand as well. So there's a lot of different moving pieces that are really exciting, you know, to kind of get the momentum going. And, you know, eventually there'll be some much more, you know, exciting improvements, you know, in later phases should we get the funding and support to continue to move forward. But I think people are going to be really excited. You know, the excitement that we've seen with Revolution Ridge, you know, for example, with the new exhibits and the animals that are there, but continuing in that same fashion, you know, is something that we are really looking forward to seeing. So
you mentioned funding. So how is this funded, and how will that funding kind of continue to support it?
So it's actually a combination. So you know, the Science Center has, as I mentioned, they have a lot of support, you know, from the private sector as well as from the city, and we've enjoyed that unique relationship and that partnership with them. With their ability to take the public dollars that have been invested, you know, through the bond referendums in the past and match that almost dollar for dollar with private funding. On the actual Country Park side, you know, that's bond dollars that were approved from voters in 2016. And so we are very, very happy to finally be able to implement, you know, what the public has entrusted us, you know, with money to be able to create this destination. So there's a lot of different, you know, combinations of funding sources here. But I think it does speak overall to the volume of trust that, you know, people that live in our community that trust us with those tax dollars or with their donations and with their support to create this destination.
And when were these bond dollars approved?
In 2016.
Okay, so a while back.
A while back, yeah. So we're just at that point where we're actually starting to see it all come to life, and that's really exciting. And so we're hoping that with this new phase being completed, that we may be able to have some additional support in the future to be able to continue and build off of that momentum.
Will there be some private partnerships that kind of go into it to help, kind of like we see with the Science Center?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, and that's really been the key, honestly, for not only just the Science Center, but the city as a whole, with the private donations, those who entrust us with those funds, and they believe in that vision, or they can align themselves with that vision to be able to further and leverage the funding that the public has, you know, provided kind of as a foundation for that. So
Yeah, imagine people are hearing this and thinking like, oh, I'd like to be involved personally somehow, or my business. I wonder if we could partner. Like, are there opportunities for those sorts of things, and how do you do that?
Absolutely. So there's multiple ways that you could be involved. So again, there's sponsorship opportunities. So with the different amenities that we're introducing, there are ways that if you would like to sponsor any of those amenities, whether it's a new shelter, whether it's sponsoring the dog park, or even any number of the elements or exhibits that are in the Science Center. There's capital campaigns that are underway to support those efforts. Included in Battleground Parks District, which I didn't mention initially, we're also expanding the Spencer Love tennis facility and doing some improvements there, and there is an active campaign to raise dollars to support those efforts as well. And that's, financial support isn't the only way. Right. There's a number of volunteer opportunities, both at the Science Center, through the city, through Parks and Recreation, where we always are looking for those that have hands-on experience or just want to get involved. So there's a lot of ways that you can get involved, and that could be information that you can find through the Greensboro Parks and Rec Department, through the city, through the Science Center, through the Friends of Greensboro Parks and Recreation Foundation. There's a lot of different ways.
Lots of ways to get involved. And you think about it, I mean, so many of us, will visit one of these places, drive and park in the Science Center, but really all these places are really steps away. I mean, you could walk within about 2 miles and hit every single one of these places.
And that's going to be also a major part of this first phase of Battleground Parks District, is like wayfinding and signage, for that very reason, because you have people that that either are from here, don't realize that you have these entities, how well connected they are. But even people that are not from here, we want them to come and stay. We want them to make Greensboro a multi-day destination. And so part of this project is being able to make better connections between the facilities, making sure we're marketing and promoting them in a way where people understand all the different assets that we have right here that they can enjoy. So if you want to go to the military park and learn about the Revolutionary War and the prominent battle there, you can do that. And if you want to recreate, if you want to get out on our paddle boats, or if you want to reserve a shelter or come play on the playground or fish, you have that option. If you want to go to the Science Center and play with penguins and watch the flamingos and all these, all of that stuff is right there.
Right there. Yeah.
And so we want people to really understand this is what we have here in Greensboro, what we're very proud of. This is one of the things that makes Greensboro unique. So we don't have an asset like that here in Greensboro, probably not even in North Carolina, that has all of these different elements from all of these different entities sort of coexisting together.
And I imagine this is going to get some national attention too. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. We're going to dive more into this project in just a moment when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back to Gate City Insider. Today we are diving into the Battleground Parks District, and you have probably been a part of that district whether you know it or not, because of course it encompasses the Greensboro Science Center, Country Park, Spencer Love Tennis, J.C. Park, the Guilford Courthouse National Military Park, and much, much more. That is an area that is just going to become one and be known as the Battleground Parks District. And Nash McRae is with us. She's Director of Parks and Recreation. Hello again.
Hello.
I can't help but think about New York Central Park when we talk about this project. Did we get inspiration from other cities and other states when we were kind of putting this plan together?
Absolutely, and it's interesting that you say that, because we consider Battleground Parks District as our own Greensboro version of Central Park.
Right.
And that's exactly what it is. And so we've looked at a lot of different communities to get inspiration. We haven't quite found something exactly like this. So that's what's going to make Battleground Parks District unique for Greensboro. We've taken some inspiration and some cues like from a Central Park and some of the other entities where there are federal and local parks, but to find one unique where you can have the federal government in cooperation with the local government, with kind of a private nonprofit and the county, and a number of other supporters, is very unique, and that's what sets Battleground Parks District apart. So you may not find an exact replica, but we've been able to take some things that we really like that has worked really well in other communities, but we've made them unique uniquely Greensboro.
And are you hearing about this from other states or who are curious about what we're doing here?
Yeah, we've heard some things. This is kind of like our best kept secret because we kind of want to show and prove, right, and get things underway. But, you know, just with the popularity of the Science Center, for example, and how much they've grown, you know, it's kind of hard to keep that to ourselves.
Right.
But yeah, so we've heard a lot of interest in how we've been able to make some of these things happen. What's the secret? You know, how did we magically get all these things to work? And I think what's really the key takeaway is the relationships that we've been able to build, you know, with our peers that are within this district, you know, the leaders of those organizations. And I think it really is a testament to Greensboro, you know, and those who have supported this plan, whether it is financially or who have voted to support for this plan or have expressed interest or even those who have visited each of these amenities to say, we really like what you all are doing and we want to see more. So I think that is the other thing that makes this unique, you know, and a unique destination, but it's just a unique concept.
Is everybody excited? I mean, so we all have our own identities, and each of these places has their own identities. You know, fans of the tennis or the baseball or the dog park or the science center, and they've kind of been invested in those things. Are they eager to be a part of something bigger? Did it take some convincing on some of the parts?
No, I think that everyone, you know, they all understand, you know, the role that they play in the piece that they play to make the Battleground Parks District a success. And I think that, you know, based on that, you know, they still can, like you said, remain, you know, unique to their own identity, but they also understand the importance that they play in this entire role to make this whole district work. And so when you're looking at, you know, Battleground Parks District, you know, you're not necessarily pitting one interest over the other. Collectively, we recognize the overall asset here. We have something really great here. And in order for this whole thing to really take off and be really great and be the best that it can be in Greensboro, we recognize that collaborative working together to advance that is very important. So, so I think, you know, overall, it's a great place to be. You know, it's great conversations that have been had, you know, and there's, you know, mutual respect and understanding that in order for Greensboro to continue to be that destination, we have to have that. We also recognize the strengths that we all bring to the table, you know, between visitorship, between investment, you know, whether it's private support, volunteer support, just by virtue of the location that we have, we recognize that we all each need each other in order to be successful. So.
Right, and really, you know, collaborating like this can grow each one of those individually at the same time, and that's the goal, is to make everybody better. We talked a little bit about the Greensboro Science Center, of course, and the improvements that have been going on, or the enhancements. It feels like it is great, so I don't want to, if there doesn't need to be improvements, it just keeps, you know, topping our expectations, I guess I should say. And just finished Revolution Ridge and opened that new part. What else? Is there more to come? I mean,
there's
should we keep
always
looking
more to come.
Glenn, we know Glenn.
Yes, we know Glenn, and there's always more to come. And I won't do it justice with the way that he can be as enthusiastic about this, but it's so exciting and it's contagious.
Right.
Because the more things that you see that happen, you know, at Greensboro Science Center, you do want more, and you want to see how much further the envelope can be pushed. And when you're talking about science and you're talking about nature and you're talking about the environment, there's always more, you know, and you're talking about discovery. And so, you know, what you can expect to see, obviously, is more unique and unusual animals, exhibits and things like that. You can expect to see better connections within Country Park, between the Science Center and within the Battleground Parks District. You could see more promotion, you know, around the elements that they've been doing, you know, things that actually, it makes all of these different things as seamlessly connected as possible. So yeah, I would just say hold on and just wait, because it's gonna blow your socks off for sure.
What about art in the park? That is such a popular thing around Greensboro, and we see so much public art. Will there be more art in the Battleground Parks?
Yes, yes, and we've actually have that integrated in the master plan, and we do understand the importance that art plays in Greensboro, but how connected art can be when you're talking about science and you're talking about technology and you're talking about recreation and wellness. All of those things are very important, and so we want to incorporate that into just kind of our wayfinding, our signage. There may be some different types of unique exhibits like artificial intelligence and things like holograms and all kind of crazy wild things that'll be integrated there. Yes, it does. You can tell I've been working with him for so many years. But yeah, so we're gonna, you know, really try to make sure that we're telling the history, but also looking forward to the future, and doing that across different types of artistic mediums. I think is going to be important. One thing that people will see is also the really unique use of different types of textures, whether that's in the actual buildings, you know, that you can see as part of Revolution Bridge now. You can see the different architectural elements that kind of pay homage to the past, but also there's a modern flair to it as well. And then just kind of those things that really pop and draw your eye. So you'll see a lot of that, you know, in this first phase, and then also in future phases that are to come.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because in just kind of skimming through the master plan, you'll see photos of buildings and property that is part of the Battleground Parks District that maybe you haven't seen before, and a little bit of exploring, and you can find those things now. Absolutely. And they're part of the process, and you'd be surprised at some of the things you'll find.
Yeah, and that's the whole goal. Because we want you to keep coming back, and every time you come back, you're going to find something new.
Yeah,
that's right.
Absolutely. Do you have something that you're most looking forward to with this?
Oh my God, the whole thing.
Right. I know.
It's almost like asking which one of your kids is the favorite.
I know.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, I think one of the elements that I'm really interested in is the zip line, because again, that kind of pays homage to the past, but it also includes a really exciting element that people will enjoy. And it gives you a different vantage point, you know, because if you visit the park now, you're kind of looking at it from the ground level, but many people don't realize how beautiful this park space is and how beautiful this district is when you're up in the air. And it gives you a totally different perspective. It gives you a totally different perspective of Greensboro as well, and what we all have to offer here. So I'm really looking forward to that.
So what is, I know that this first project, we're thinking, you know, the first phase, about 18 months or so, 2 years maybe. What about, you know, to see a completion out there of this whole connectivity of this Battleground Parks District?
So we don't know that yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have an end goal, because when you have an end destination, you're finished.
Right.
And we don't ever want to be finished, right? We want to continuously reinvent ourselves and continue to push that envelope, continue to grow and thrive. So we don't have an end date yet.
Okay. So
we just keep looking
more
for more things. That's
more
right.
announcements to come. So construction's going to be happening. The park isn't closed, though. Will there be events and still things going on this summer in Country Park area?
So we still will continue to still provide you know, spaces for people to recreate. So we are not closing the park. It's just the main road that we've closed to vehicular traffic inside the park. So there are places where you can park. You know, we have some information. If you have or have never visited, you can check out our website. Or if you actually go to the park, we have maps and places that will help to show you where you need to go. And if you need assistance, if you have a mobility device or have any type of challenges that would create an issue for you, you can always call our park staff, and we're always happy to help assist for those who need it. But no, so we're really excited to continue to still be offering our paddle boats, which are very popular, during the summer months. We still have like our snow cones.
I was going to say, don't forget the snow cones. Snow cones, yeah. Gotta have those on
Don't
hot
forget
days.
that. But then the playgrounds are still open. You know, you can still come out and fish and walk, and the dog parks still there. You know, you just got to walk a little bit further to get there while we have it under construction. And we'll have some signage, to make sure that we keep people safe so they don't get lost. And the Science Center, of course, is still open. The carousel is open, so if you haven't gone, please go and check it out.
Then you need to go back again. If you've already gone, go back again.
Keep going.
Ride a different animal this time. Definitely so. So we've talked so much about this, and there's so much focus on this. Is a really big project, obviously, but it's not the only thing going on with Parks and Rec. There's other things going on around Greensboro, and attention and construction happening in other places too. Can you share some of that?
Sure. Yeah. So in Parks and Recreation, we never get tired. We're always playing and we're always working. But this is just one of many different things that we are working on to improve our park system and the overall experience in the community. So another project that we're working on right now is Peeler Community Park. We're making some improvements there, and it's our commitment to reinvesting in some of our impacted areas in our community. And so we are actually giving Peeler Recreation Center a facelift. We're doing some parking expansion. We're actually putting in a really cool playground and some fitness equipment there. We're adding solar workstations, walking trails. We've already done some improvements to the tennis courts and added like a multi-sport court. We're improving the baseball field there, and we're including and this is a collaboration with our Greensboro Public Libraries, a story walk. So it's an interpretive walk that encourages reading and being outdoors for adults and children alike. So that's another really, really interesting, kind of impactful, changing the community type of a project that we're very proud of, and that's going to kick off in the next month or so as well.
Wow.
So summer is our busy time,
Yeah.
not just from programming, but we really try to take advantage of that with a lot of the projects that we have, underway. And so we just have a lot of other things. That's just kind of one that's top of mind,
right.
but one of many.
Yes, and July is Parks and Recreation Month.
Yes.
So there are lots of events, ways to engage, to learn about our parks. There are prizes you can win.
Absolutely.
Free, lots and lots of free things to do.
Yes, so July is National Parks and Rec Month.
Yeah.
And so here locally in Greensboro, we celebrate that every year. And so as you mentioned, we're doing giveaways, which everyone loves. We're encouraging everyone to get outside, tell their parks and recreation stories. So that's a theme of the month, where we're telling our story, in parks and recreation, of how we've impacted the community through recreation, through us providing services. And we're always happy to tell that story because it's so important. If you think back to the year that doesn't count, 2020, Parks and Recreation was one of the few things that everyone could actually take advantage of, when we were, kind of in the throes of the pandemic. And so we don't want to forget that, and we don't want people to forget we're here for them and we're here to continue to serve. So we're going to kick it off with a tie-dye for the 4th of July this upcoming weekend, which is a huge pool party and a tie-dye party all wrapped in one over at Lindley Pool. And then we are bringing back adult recess, which I'm absolutely excited about because we first did our initial adult recess in 2019 and it exceeded our expectations and popularity. And that's our 21 and up program that we provide. So we're excited to bring that back to Barber Park, and we will have some docu-series, our scavenger hunt, lots of different things. We're doing story time weekly in collaboration with the library. So we're really excited about that, and we hope everyone can come out, download our Piedmont Discovery app to find your local park and to join the scavenger hunt to win some really cool prizes.
Nasha, thank you. Always great to have you, and thanks for
My
everything
pleasure.
that you and everybody in the department does to keep Greensboro fun. We appreciate it. Yeah, keep Greensboro fun. Hey, want to know more about all these things? Of course, you can go to greensboro-nc.gov, search for Parks and Recreation to find out about all those programs that we were just talking about. And you can also search Battleground Parks District. You can read that master plan, see what's going to happen right in your backyard, and go out and do some exploring. There is no better time than summertime to do that in Greensboro. That is our time today on Gate City Insider. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.